There is someone in your life who never raises their voice, never argues, never begs, never chases, and yet somehow, they always get what they want. You felt it. That quiet, suffocating weight in a room when they walk in. Conversations shift. Energy drops. People move differently around them. And they haven't said a single word. You probably called it charisma, or confidence, or just presence. It's not any of those things. It's control. Deliberate, calculated, psychological control. And the most disturbing part? Most people never even realize it's being used on them. Today I'm going to show you 7 of the darkest silent tactics that the most powerful people on earth use to dominate rooms, negotiations, and relationships without ever raising their voice. Steve Jobs used these. Putin uses these. The most dangerous men in any room you've ever been in use these. And once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Stay until Tactic 5. Because that one changes how you see every person around you. Tactic 1. The silence weapon. 1972. Nixon's chief negotiator sits across a table from the North Vietnamese delegation. The Vietnamese make a demand. The American says nothing. He just looks at them. Holds the silence. 10 seconds. 20. 45. A full minute. The Vietnamese negotiators begin talking again. They give ground. Concessions they never planned to offer. Spilling out of their mouths to fill the unbearable quiet. They lost. Not because the American was smarter. Not because he had more leverage, but because he understood something they didn't. Silence is a weapon. Most people cannot survive it. The brain interprets silence as a threat, as failure, as something gone wrong. So people rush to fill it. They over-explain. They backtrack. They offer things they never intended to give. They expose themselves completely. And the person who stays quiet collects everything. Here's the dark psychology behind this. Silence is a mirror. Whatever someone feels inside, guilt, uncertainty, fear, desperation, silence reflects it back at them, amplified. The quieter you stay, the louder their anxiety becomes. And anxiety makes people make mistakes. Watch Elon Musk in interviews. When someone asks a question he finds beneath him, he doesn't scramble for an answer. He pauses. Sometimes 5 seconds. Sometimes 7. Most people in that position would feel the pressure to fill that gap. He sits in it like it belongs to him. Because it does. The rule is this. Whoever speaks first after a tense moment, loses. Not always in the obvious way. But in the psychological war underneath the conversation, the first to break silence is the first to show need. And need is weakness. Start practicing this week. Someone gives you a price, a proposal, a demand. Don't respond. Let it sit. Wait for what comes out of their mouth next. You will be disturbed by how much they reveal. Tactic 2. Strategic eye contact. Everyone tells you the same thing. Hold eye contact. Be confident. Don't look away. That advice is dangerously incomplete. Because here's what actually happens when you hold constant, unbroken eye contact with someone. You look desperate. You look like you need something from them. You look like you're performing confidence rather than possessing it. Real power doesn't hold eye contact to prove something. Real power controls when it gives attention and when it takes it away. Watch Barack Obama in high-pressure settings. He makes powerful, direct eye contact when he's delivering a point, drilling it home. And then, when he's done, he simply looks away. Not nervously, not anxiously. He moves on, as if what he just said was so final, so settled, that monitoring your reaction would be a waste of his time. That is a dominant signal. And it operates entirely below conscious awareness. The science behind this is called gaze dominance. Studies show that people who maintain eye contact while speaking, but break it deliberately when the other person speaks, are rated as significantly more authoritative, more powerful, and more trustworthy than people who either avoid eye contact or hold it obsessively. The message your gaze sends when you look away slowly, deliberately, at a moment of your choosing is this: I don't need your reaction. I don't need your approval. What I said stands on its own. That is one of the most unsettling things one human being can communicate to another without a word. Here's how to use it. Make strong, direct eye contact when you speak. When you finish your point, look away first. Slowly. Choose where you look. Don't dart. Don't drop your head. Just redirect. Like you've already moved on. Watch how the other person responds. Watch them lean in. Watch them try to recapture your attention. You've just shifted the power in the room. Tactic 3. The delayed response. You send a message. They read it. You can see the timestamp. They've seen it. And they don't respond. What happens inside you in that silence? You start to wonder, did I say something wrong? Are they upset? Are they making a decision about me? Your mind starts generating scenarios. You become obsessed with a conversation that hasn't happened yet. You are completely inside their head, and they haven't done a single thing. That is the power of the delayed response. In a world where everyone responds to everything instantly, texts at 2 a.m., emails within minutes, notifications cleared in real time, immediacy has become the default. And that default has quietly destroyed the leverage of millions of men without them even realizing it. When you respond instantly every time, you communicate one thing: I was waiting for you. You are my priority. I don't have anything more important happening than you. That is not power. That is servitude dressed up as availability. Steve Jobs was famous for going dark. Emails would sit unanswered for days, from people who desperately, anxiously needed his response. When he did reply, it felt like an event. People restructured their schedules. Because his attention was rare. And we are psychologically wired to value what is rare. This isn't about games. This isn't about cruelty. This is about understanding that your time and attention are currency. And most men give that currency away freely, as if it's worth nothing, and then wonder why people treat them like they're worth nothing. The delayed response sends one clean, subconscious message: I have things going on. You are one of many priorities. I will get to you when I'm ready. Try it. Before you respond to the next non-urgent message, finish what you're doing first. Not as a tactic. As a principle. Because you are not a notification waiting to be cleared. Tactic 4. Emotional invisibility. This is the one that separates the truly dangerous people from everyone else. Listen carefully. Your emotions are information. And information is power. But only for whoever holds it. The moment your face shows frustration, someone now knows how to push your buttons. The moment you light up with excitement, someone knows what you want and exactly how much you want it. The moment you flinch, hesitate, or visibly react, you have handed them a complete map of your psychology. And they will use it. Every single time. Tactic 4 is what I call emotional invisibility. And it is the most powerful thing on this list. Vladimir Putin, and I am not here to endorse the man, only to study the psychology, is one of the most documented examples of this in modern history. Journalists, world leaders, intelligence analysts, people who have spent careers reading human beings for a living have described sitting across from him and feeling nothing coming back. No warmth, no frustration, no tells, no leakage. Just a man who has achieved complete, unsettling dominance over every signal his face and body produce. That is terrifying to experience. Because when you cannot read someone, you cannot predict them. When you cannot predict them, you cannot prepare for them. And when you cannot prepare, they have already won. The psychological term is emotional regulation. What it means in practice is this: your internal state does not have automatic permission to appear on your face. You experience the emotion. You simply choose whether to transmit it. Think about the last time you got bad news in a public setting. What did your face do? What did your body do? Everyone in that room saw your vulnerability in real time. Now imagine receiving that same news with a slight, calm nod. Maintaining eye contact. Saying nothing for 5 seconds. Then quietly asking one question. That person runs every room they enter. Not because they don't feel things, but because they've decided what information the room gets to have about them. Start with 1 second. The next time you feel a reactive emotion rising, frustration, anxiety, excitement, anger, pause 1 second before your face responds. That 1 second is the gap where power lives. That 1 second, practiced long enough, becomes something people around you will find deeply unsettling. Because they will never quite know where they stand with you. And that uncertainty is yours to use. Tactic 5. Controlled scarcity. There is a psychological principle called reactance. It's the force that makes forbidden things attractive. It's why we want what we can't have. It's why the thing just out of reach feels more valuable than everything we already hold. Powerful people exploit this instinct constantly. And they do it without ever mentioning it. The most powerful person in any room is almost never the most available one. They don't show up to everything. They don't take every meeting. They're not always reachable. And their selective presence makes every single interaction feel significant before it even starts. When Warren Buffett agrees to a meeting, that meeting matters. Not because of anything he said in it, but because getting it was hard. Scarcity manufactured perceived value before he walked through the door. This is how it works on a psychological level. We are wired to assign value based on availability. What is everywhere is valued nowhere. What is rare is protected, sought after, competed for. Think about how most men operate. Always available. Always responsive. Schedule rearranged for whoever asks. Present at every event, every group chat, every conversation. Ready, willing, accessible. And yet somehow they feel overlooked. Undervalued. Passed over. Because they've made themselves abundant. And abundance is taken for granted. Controlled scarcity is not disappearing. It is not flaking. It is not playing games. It is the deliberate decision to treat your time, your attention, and your presence as something that has to be earned. Not given away freely to anyone who asks. Guard your time like it's worth something. Because the moment you treat it as cheap, everyone around you will too. Tactic 6. Physical stillness. Watch footage of John F. Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The most powerful nation on Earth. 13 days from nuclear war. The most stressed man on the planet. And he sits with an almost inhuman calm. Still hands. Deliberate, measured movements. Not a single unnecessary gesture. Now watch someone who is nervous. Touching their face. Shifting their weight. Adjusting their clothing. Moving constantly. Unable to be still. Your body is broadcasting your internal state to everyone in the room at all times. Most people have no idea this is happening. Tactic 6 is physical stillness. And it is one of the most underestimated power signals that exists. Here is the neuroscience. When the nervous system perceives threat, it activates movement as an output. Fidgeting. Adjusting. Pacing. These are anxiety discharging itself through the body. The brain is trying to do something. Most people let it. They have no awareness that their body is confessing their fear to everyone around them. Powerful people have learned to suppress that output completely. The result is stillness. And stillness signals one thing at a primal level: I am not threatened by this situation. Someone who is not threatened is someone to be reckoned with. There is also this. Movement draws eyes briefly. Stillness draws attention. When you stop moving, people watch you more, not less. Your stillness creates a kind of gravity. People start waiting for you to move, to speak, to react. And that waiting gives you power. The practice is simple. Slow everything down. Your hand gestures. Your nodding. Your head movements. Cut them in half. Then in half again. Sit or stand as if the ground beneath you is completely solid and the room has no power over you whatsoever. Move only when you mean to. Every single time. Tactic 7. The silent exit. Everything we've talked about leads here. The silence. The stillness. The controlled face. The withheld attention. All of it is built on one foundation. One thing that separates people who possess real power from people who merely perform it. The willingness to leave. Most people are not willing. They will stay in a bad deal because they want the deal. They will tolerate disrespect because they fear the conflict. They will keep negotiating long past the point they should have stood up and walked out. Because they need the outcome more than they need their own dignity. And the other person knows it. They can feel it. And they use it. Steve Jobs killed entire product lines, years of other people's work, if he decided they weren't right. He walked out of deals. He ended relationships. Quietly. Without drama. Without a speech about it. He simply stopped being in the room. And the moment he was willing to do that, he had leverage over every room he ever sat in. Because the threat of his absence was real. It wasn't a bluff. It wasn't a negotiating tactic. It was a fact about who he was. That is the deepest truth about power. Leverage only exists if you are willing to use it. The willingness to walk away only matters if you will actually walk. And the darkest part of this tactic is how it works in the moment. You don't threaten to leave. You don't announce it. You don't perform it for the room. You don't give a speech about your own value or what you deserve. You simply stand up and go. No explanation. No drama. No final word designed to land a point. You leave, and you let the silence of your absence say everything. That silence is the loudest thing in the room, and it will follow them long after you're gone. Here is what you just learned. Power is not loud. It does not perform. It does not chase approval or beg for attention or need the last word. Real power is quiet. It is patient. It is the pause before you respond. The stillness when everyone else is reacting. The face that gives nothing away. The attention that must be earned. The exit you are genuinely willing to make. These are not tricks. They are not manipulation for its own sake. They are the operating principles of people who understand one thing that most never will. You control what you give. Your time. Your reactions. Your presence. Your attention. The moment you start treating those things as valuable, other people begin to treat them that way too. And once you see this working in the people around you, you will never unsee it again. Subscribe to Power Plays Network. Because this is only the beginning. Most people will scroll past this. They'll keep wondering why certain people seem to hold all the power in every room. The ones who stay and learn and apply this. They become the reason the room shifts when they walk in.